Well, it's Ten of Swords, part 10 of 22. This is X-Men, chapter issue 13. And I did all the other videos before reading this issue. And it is one of my theories on this comic is proving to be incorrect. And that's that basically everybody would be lined up. Our sword bearers would be lined up prior to Stasis. Because the issue after this one is Ten of Swords Stasis, but that is not meant to be. So let's get into this comic. Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is X-Men issue 13, chapter 10 of Ten of Swords, and this is by Jonathan Hickman, Mohammed Asrar. Shit, I can't pronounce anything. Anyway, Asrar is the artist, meaning the inker and the pencils, and man, it suffers. I'm just saying, I like his work. I think it's really strong, but this is sketchy and quick, and it looks rough, like super rough. This is, I'm begging you, Marvel, you gotta walk away from the artists doing the penciling and the inking in one. You got to. It is hurting your comics, and this is probably one of the roughest Asrar issues that I've seen. Asrar, it's tough. This shouldn't be what the X-Men looks like, especially not from a top tier talent like that. But you're making it go too quick, and you get some panels that look really nice and rendered, and some that are just sketchy and just painful. There's some scenes of the Beast and the Healer and kind of other things that just look like they were whipped out. Disappointing. Anyway, so our scene opens up, and basically Banshee is recovering, but Apocalypse is not. Now they haven't had a chance to make a new little Apocalypse egg. All the eggs were destroyed. He wasn't dying on the other side, so he could be safely resurrected. But of course, they rebooted the resurrection protocols, and so they're trying to heal him up. He's got like burns and plague crap all over him. He's not looking good. Boils. It's the whole 9 yards. So Lorna and Magneto hold him down. Celia Reese is trying to do the work to fix him up. The Healer is there also trying to help him. Beast and Hope are kind of standing by to check things out. And it is really at this point that you start to wonder, where's Nurse Annie? Like, shouldn't Nurse Annie be here to help with this healing? But at any rate, as Magneto and Professor X watch on, they try and heal Apocalypse, but they're struggling to do so. So they keep restraining him. They're just pouring their mutant powers into it, Hope boosting things. And this Apocalypse basically has a nice little flashback in his kind of feverish state. He has a flashback to Akara, the One Island, and so as he's remembering back. This time when there was one world that became two, the chasm between the dark world, the enemy poured in, and this enemy was slaughtering the citizens of Okara, and the elementals followed, and it basically this big war of massive death. And so 100 of our greatest champions and took the war to the enemy. So this battle was joined with Apocalypse and the Horsemen, and kind of his original kind of unbeatable army against the Horde. And as the battle waged, they had a summit, basically basically tried to get them to come to the table and petition for peace. And in particular was Genesis, the partner of Apocalypse, the spouse, the mate, the whatever it happens to be. Genesis was there, and they talk to the enemy, and they basically say, you've hurt us, you've hurt the world, you must pay for what you've done. And the enemy opens up this magical box that brings the Annihilation mask, or this Annihilation helmet that once worn basically dissolves the enemy. So the kind of the servant puts on the mask, it starts to tear the body apart, and basically gives this very ominous speech to Apocalypse and his citizens that they are going to kind of they want to have conquest, and they want to basically say, we're going to test you, and we will basically consume your land. So Genesis steps up and says, nope, you can call this a test. There are others. And she says, I find you wanting. Your offer is poor. And so it basically says, our only choice is sacrifice. We must do it. We will hold back the horde. Genesis saying is we'll hold back the horde with the horsemen and these warriors, while Apocalypse basically goes to this other land and will basically lead a new mutant army, a new to basically be able to win, to come back. And they have a little speech back and forth. Apocalypse says, I want to go with you, Genesis, and she tells him, you're not strong enough. Only the strong may do this. And so Apocalypse is supposed to use the time they buy to make the world something that can stand against the enemy. And let's seal the gate and judge them and become only fit. So kind of a rewriting of Apocalypse and his mandate and kind of what he's been as a mutant. So this is then identified through a data sheet as this golden helmet, the power of annihilation with the golden helm of Amaneth. Amaneth is a black planet of black death, hellscape of demons and things of a darker origin. And the person who wears the helm rules that dark world, but the helm itself rules the wearer. So possessed by an elder god, that the wearer is, it's a crown only for the fit, and the fit can rule in Amenethi hell. So it is not described in this issue, but basically, if you've seen the solicits in the other areas, it appears Genesis is going to be wearing this mask. And so Apocalypse has to go up against his mate, his bride, whatever she was to him. And she's kind of the ultimate evil, possessed by this elder god. And that's the sacrifice element of that. So we flip back to the now. Apocalypse rises. He's been healed. But he is haunted by all of this. He's remembered the past, or it's come back to him. And Apocalypse needs to travel to get his sword. So he goes after the scarab sword, crafted in 4 parts for the 4 children. The scarab blade was forged by Isa the Unbeaten as a gift for her brother by marriage, Apocalypse. There you go. So I think this has been said before. It's basically Genesis, his wife. So so Apocalypse broke the blade and buried the past and went forth to judge the world when he came to our world after Arako was lost to Amaneth. And so Apocalypse heads to the pyramids to go fetch his sword. So he heads in there with the Gorgon. He goes down into the pyramids and he smashes smashy, and he grabs the scarab sword and he emerges with it. And he says, Gorgon says, this looks like a real sharp blade. And Apocalypse says, it is. Now watch me as I wield it. They get back on the ship and they fly off. All right, so I need to interject here, actually, inside my own recording, because I record this whole thing. So just in the middle, I want to pause for a moment, because there's this data sheet that shows up, which has been happening with all the Dawn of X issues. And this is where they kind of describe the sword. And so in this case, we're getting the scarab sword, which is Apocalypse's sword. And I just want to point out here, because it's easy to kind of skate past it, that Apocalypse's sword, its attributes, is that it's imbued with external sadness from his sister-in-law. I mean, I just it's the external sadness sword. Yep. Our next issue is chapter 11, Ten of Swords, Stasis number 1. So that's our comic. So we still are. So Apocalypse will take one of those positions. I believe it seems likely Gorgon's taking another. We still have one more kind of mystery person in the mix. So where does this leave us? Well, Stasis was kind of at least billed as our midpoint, or our next big kind of moment. It's at least projected to be a really key issue in all of this. So it's going to move us to the next block of what's happening. Thoughts on this issue? Well, it definitely gives us a little bit more backstory. It's stuff we probably could have guessed in terms of the land and Genesis and kind of this threat. It's stuff that's kind of been inferred, but it's spelled out a little bit clearer here. It's a little tough to have an entire issue that focuses on kind of mostly the backstory here. It reads through pretty damn quick. Again, this is some just decompressed storytelling, but I think you could have accomplished a lot of this with like 4 pages in some cases, but it's fine. You're letting the environment and this whole issue breathe. You're letting it seep into your pores as it is. It's definitely providing some new context to Apocalypse, why he was so fixated on the strong must survive, kind of his mission and kind of the brutality dating all the way back to when he appeared, even pre kind of Fall of the Mutants and all of that. What he was trying to accomplish starts to make a little bit more sense, cast a little bit more in a heroic light. I mean, fundamentally, this is healing. I guess it's fine as a story. Again, not a lot happens here, but it does move the parts from one place to another. It ups the personal stakes of what we can all more or less expect, which is Apocalypse has to go up against his wife, who's possessed by the elder god of annihilation. The only other thought is what I said at the beginning. The art is super rough and clunky in areas, and it's just a shame to see a really top talent, coming across this way. It looks super rushed. And Marvel should do more to protect their people from having this kind of output. Still looks nice in areas, but it's just I don't know. You got to imagine they're paying some good coin to get some top talents, and then they're rushing them through a comic, making them do the penciling, the inking, and you're getting stuff that doesn't necessarily do people a lot of favors. But it is what it is. So this was X-Men. This was 10 of Swords. And chapter 10, we are almost at the halfway point. I guess we're about to get some fights. So there's that. Anyway, what do you think of this issue? Are you following along to this point? How are you doing with 10 of Swords? Are you ready for the fighting to begin? The pacing is odd for this event. I'll just throw that out there. The pacing is odd. It's going to be weird to read this in an omnibus someday. I will say. Hey, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Thanks for listening, as always. And stay healthy out there.